a couple that came into the church a number of years ago, and they were really sharp. They were church people. They were prophetic. They were, a sharp couple. He always dressed so nice that people went up to him and asked him if he was a pastor, which I thought was great because then he had to answer all their questions. And I said to the Lord after they'd been with us for about 2 months, I said, man, if these guys are as good on the inside as they are on the outside, they're going to be a real strength to the church. Well, over the course of the next couple of years, they kept coming closer and closer into position in the church where people were respecting and leading and stuff like that. And I didn't understand all the spiritual dynamics at that time. She was very strong spiritually, and he wasn't. And with this particular couple, there was a Jezebel spirit thing that was working there, and she always liked control. And that spirit can work through a man or a woman. It doesn't necessarily mean either one. And anyways, it finally came to a head where her and I went head to head. And this was the first time I'd ever run into something like this, and I was just shocked because of what was happening. And we had a big discussion, on the phone on the way here. And I remember I just thought, man, this is really going to hurt. And I started to think in my mind, you know what? I let those guys bypass the normal system of earning trust here in the church. So, and I had a tough system, boy. It was like, you're going to get into leadership, you're going to earn it, bless God. And I remember thinking, as I was sitting there, I pulled up outside the church, and I thought, that's it. I can't do that like that anymore. It's going to hurt the church, and it really hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And the Lord yelled at me. I've only had him do that about 3 times. Now, maybe he wasn't yelling, but he was speaking loud enough that I heard it like a yell. And he said, and I can remember, quote, unquote, because it was just, I was sitting in my car, and I'd made the decision, all right, time to buckle down. Nobody's going to get, everybody's going to have to go through. And the Lord said to me, don't you close your heart. Just like that. And see, because there was a big cut there now. There was a wound there. It hurt, And I said, but that hurt. Still sitting in my car. And I didn't want to be hurt again. Right? None of us does. And he said this to me, and I knew it was him because I wasn't smart enough to think it up. He said, I never gave you the right to protect your heart. I went, okay, I got to think about that for like a year. I never gave you the right to protect your heart? Love is a decision. I never gave you the right. You never gave me the right to protect myself? That took some chewing. Well, and then, the obvious thing is, well, if I'm not going to protect myself, who is? And, of course, he's going to. And I wanted to say, well, yeah, but you haven't done a very good job for the last couple of years. But that's just ignorance, But I'm telling you what I learned on that. Then as I prayed into that, and I said, God, how do I do that? How do I let, because the Bible says love believes the best of every person. Wow, put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Love believes the best of every person? That we believe the best of people until they do something? And I remember when he said that, I said, you got to show me how. He said, listen, and I'll use my own words with the thoughts that came. He said, if you'll trust me, he said, people will still hurt you, but I'll heal the wound. And you know how you can tell when a wound is healed? You still know that the wound is there or the scar is there, but there's no pain, there's no emotion attached to the scar anymore. Like with Jesus, the scars of Jesus' sacrifice for us are still there, right? The hole in his side and in his wrists, where those things are still there. I remember reading after one guy, and he said that when he saw Jesus, he said the holes that he saw weren't in his hands. When they crucified them, they didn't put the nail through the hands because these muscles tear too easily. The spike would literally, as the body's there on the cross, as the guys go down like that, they can't breathe, so they have to push up on the nails in order to give their lungs. But as they hang, the weight of their body hangs. So the Romans discovered if they put the spike in the hand, it just tore out like that. So they put the spike right here where the wrist is, because there's over 100 bones in your wrist, and that would hold the body on the cross. And this guy said when he was taken to heaven, he looked and he saw this big, like a square spike hole right through. As Jesus would talk and lift his hand like that, he could see right through it and see the glory behind it. But there's no pain attached to those anymore because Jesus has been resurrected and completely healed. And the same thing is true when we get healed from something that someone does to us. There's a hurt. And they say that the scars, I've read this from a number of sources, that the scars that we have in heaven from things that happen to you here on earth are badges of honor in heaven. Where you were persecuted, where you were defiled, where you were abused or taken care of, that the Lord takes those things and He heals them and He makes them something that become a trophy and a tribute to you and to your heart. I don't know who that's for this morning, but that's something, to think about. But my point was this: I realized right there that for me, to keep my heart open was a decision that I was going to have to let other people in to hurt me again. Instead of creating a system around myself that protected me from anybody hurting me. And you find out when you're in any kind of leadership after a while, there's part of the game is just hurt just because when you do something, somebody's not going to like it. So the same way that love is a choice, faith is a choice. And I chose to believe that morning when the Lord, well, it wasn't that morning, it was within the next few weeks when I processed it. I chose to believe, okay, you told me that I have to believe the best of every person. Love believes the best of every person. So I'm going to believe the best of every person. And when they knife me and they hurt me, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes on purpose, then I believe that you are going to take the pain from that wound away.